Hello, my name's Penny and welcome to Penelope's Chinwag. This week I'm going to show you a finished quilt made with William Morris fabrics. I'm going to read you some more of my story, 1963, and there's a little film at the end just of our walk. Usually we go there and back, but it's the other way around the block, and a chat from me. So if you fancy that, please join me. Well, the quilt is finished. Here it is. It's a good size. It is a lap quilt. It's 57 by 57, but I think because I've sewn it all by hand, it's come up a little bit bigger. So I left the edge plain after all and just went in the ditch all over. Showed you that last week. It's got the binding on now, of course, and it's got the label. Here we are. I've put for a beautiful homemaker with love from Nan. April 2025, and just one of the selvage eggs. Kelmscott, a lovely viewer told me that's William Morris's summer house, and she lives near there and said it's absolutely beautiful and quite remote. The binding's gone on well, and well, I'll tell you about this when I'm over there. I'll take it with me. I'll turn the quilt over. There it is. Oh, here's Sir coming up the stairs. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Come on in.
Hello. What are you doing? Oh.
Well, I couldn't say that last time because he was in his underpants, but he's dressed today.
Oh dear.
So that's, oh dear. So that's the binding, how it's come up there. I didn't do the red round because I thought it would be too complicated. Looks nice, doesn't it, Pete?
Yeah.
I think she'll be really happy with that.
I hope so. I should think so.
I think so too.
Oh.
Tired?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh. Well, here's Sir. He's just popped up. What were you going to pop up for?
See if I could carry on to listening to my music.
Ah, righty-ho. Listening to music downstairs, and of course we'd get copyrighted if I hear it up here. So I think we can listen to it with both the doors shut. What are you listening to?
Oh,
Yeah, you can't hear it.
Lots of all different ones.
All different ones, right.
Right the way back to Elvis Presley.
Oh, right.
But right at the beginning of Elvis Presley.
Okay. And
not the rubbish he
I've
came
been
out
very
with
brave and
afterwards.
opened the suitcase. I've had a suitcase, tucked in the corner since Mum died, and I just haven't been able to open it. It's the last thing, isn't it?
Mm.
Anyway, I've opened it and it's full of photographs.
That's
And
going to be fun.
I know, and this one, I said, what do you think, Mila?
Yeah,
It
definitely.
really does look.
Who is that though? Is it?
Who do you think?
Oh, Chrissy's daughter.
Yeah, Chrissy's
Well, I mean, it
daughter.
could have been her daughter's.
No, that's Chris. She hasn't got a daughter.
Oh, she got a son, has she?
Yeah.
Ah, oh,
Yeah, so she lives in LA now.
LA.
I think she's about 35.
Oh, she's so uncomfortable.
I know. Well, it's only a minute and then you're popping down.
Oh, am I?
But here she is, look. And we just think it's so like Mila. Our great-granddaughter, you know, she visited last week. This is my brother's daughter, who's now 35. She lives in LA and she's got a little boy. And I can never remember his name. He's a film man, his name. I'll tell you if I remember
Film man.
He's a film man, yeah. He's begins with B. And I know. This is where we go
What
with
does
our
it end
lives
with?
now. That would help. It's a short word.
Yeah.
Short word, begins with B. Unusual.
Buddy.
No, he's a filmmaker. He's in films or filmmaker. Oh, years and years ago. Anyway, I'll look it up and I'll let my viewers know who it is, or I'll put it on the screen. That's what we do, because you won't know and I can't remember.
No.
So
Is that it?
that's it. You
Oh,
can
crumbs. Can't do.
All right,
I
then.
can't get up now. You put me on this stool.
go. Righty-ho. Say bye-bye then.
Oh, bye-bye then.
Yeah. So that's the quilt. I've just shown you that, and I hope you like it. I love it. I absolutely love it. And really, I think, I mean, I've sewn it, I've quilted it, hand pieced it. Oh, I should have put that on the label. Hand pieced and hand quilted. That's what I usually put on, but I didn't. Oh well, never mind. Hand pieced and hand quilted. But really, I think that the well, I can only think of the words glory and accolade that should go to the designer. I mean, after all, she chose the fabric, she made the design, and I just put it together, which, yes, takes some skill, but really the skillful part is to get a bunch of fabrics and make them look wonderful. Anyway, that's what's on my crafting table for this week. Let's see what's next. I just wanted to say a big, big thank you to everybody for your comments. You know, they're just absolutely wonderful. It's like I had a box and it was about me. Well, I mean, it's Penelope's Tune Mag. It is going to be about me, isn't it? But this box was all about me inside, about me talking about my self-esteem, about me reading my story. And then suddenly the lid has been lifted on this box and you're all in there too. You're all in there telling me all about your experiences, how you felt at that time. And honestly, it's just so wonderful. And it really has, well, it's educated me in a way, because I just, you know, you can only think your own thoughts, can't you, as a young person? And, you know, when you start telling me how you felt when you were young and your experiences and how they matched mine and they mirrored mine, or if they were slightly different, or if you had a different upbringing and that made things very different. I know some of you had, you know, multiple siblings and mums and dads that worked and had lots to do, and you identified with Heather's life because mine was so different. I was like an only child in a way, because my brother being nearly 7 years younger than me, that's how it was, wasn't it? And he's a boy and I'm a girl, so I've just loved every single one. Well, there's no end to it, and it's just such a privilege that you write to me and you tell me your feelings and what's going on for you and your thoughts about the past and where you are today. You know, we've all got different circumstances, and those circumstances can change quite rapidly sometimes, can't they? Anyway, I wanted to say a huge thank you. I was going to show you this because in my bathroom, well, you know, my bathroom is sort of a bedroom as well. For those that, oh yes, let me go on to there. First of all, I've realised that for me, I can easily look at my playlist. You know, new people are joining me all the time and they want to go back to episode 1. And the playlist goes all over the shop. I said to Heather, you know, can you please look at your playlist? And no, she said, it's very awkward. So I watched how to do it on YouTube. I've pushed a little knob across, and that means that my playlist now starts at episode 1, and if you just let it run, it will go 2, 3, 4, obviously up to 144, which is today. Well, I mean, you're a better man than I am, Gungadin, but that's where it is, and then you can go to where you left off, should you so wish to go back. I mean, it is 3 years, but life has changed for me over that 3 years, quite dramatically. Mum was on, I've had 2 great-grandchildren born, and, you know, follow along with me if you fancy that sort of thing. It's not just about crafting and knitting, it is about my life. So there's a playlist now, and there is also a playlist for the end films. And if you go on to one, hopefully, it will just, oh no, this is the last one. It starts at the last one, and then it will just play down, which after all is just music. And I know you like the music, so if you want soothing things to watch with music, there's that playlist too. So that's housekeeping out the way, as they say. I wanted to show you this because I've had a suitcase in my bathroom, well, since I cleared my mum's effects, and I just couldn't bring myself to open it. Everybody that popped round, I said, oh, I've got a suitcase, would you mind opening it with me? And they all went, oh, well, and it never got done. And this morning I thought, do it. That's become a little family saying now. Because do you remember when Tommy came to sleep over a couple of weeks ago, and his mum was there in the kitchen with his dad, and she said, well, now, Tom, I'm going now. And you sort of half expect the children to say, oh, Mom, you know, oh, no, do it, do it, do it, he said. So that's our family saying now. So whenever I say do it, that pops into my mind. Anyway, I did it this morning. I opened the suitcase. I felt quite, you know, you never know what you're going to find when you open the lid. And all it was my mum's diaries. I say all it was because it's so emotional. My mum's diaries and the whole suitcase full of photographs, which I've got to go through. I want to go through, and I shall do it slowly. But in there was this. And my mum, all the little bits of lace that I cut off my mum's dressing gowns and nighties were from this firm. I think every anniversary my dad bought her one, you know. It's a beautiful, the fabrics are beautiful. And it still smells of lavender, would you believe it, after all these years? So I'm going to attach it to the quilt for Georgina, so she's got something of her great nans. So that's the story behind that. Last week I told you I went to dance classes with Diz, and I came across this. It's a bronze medal, a children's bronze medal, but nevertheless, I feel quite pleased that I did it. So that's my bronze medal. And then I might as well show you now. Well, I'll show you that bit after, because we're going to go over to my story now. But my story started when, well, two things happened really. One, Pete's dad died. I think it was 2001. And Pete started writing short stories, which I have read on the episodes. And I just thought, I wish I could write that. I haven't got anything to write about. And he said, don't be daft. You've had a life. Of course you can. And me being me, I said, all right, I'll try. And I could only start at day one. I was born. And that's where I started. And now we're up to 1963 because I was born in 1949. And then another thing happened with Sonia previously to this. She was studying. You remember my friend Sonia? I think she was in a couple of episodes ago. We got together after so long, and I do plan, hopefully, later in the year on popping up again, because we had such a lovely time. Honestly, Pete felt so happy there and joyful and relaxed that if I say to him, should we pop and see Sonia, he'd go tomorrow. She made such a fuss of us and looked after us the best that anybody could. Anyway, she was studying to be a counsellor, which, as you know, I did study for, and I became a counsellor too. And she put a row of buttons on the table, well, a few rows of buttons, and I had to choose a button that represented me. And I chose a small mother of pearl button, and it had the corners off. I've lost it. One day maybe I might find it. I wish I had it. And I've looked and looked for one similar, but I've never found one. It's a square button with the little corners cut off. Very small. Well, very small, you know. Anyway, so that was me, because I felt I was shiny and bright, but my corners were being knocked off. Well, that's what happens in life, isn't it? You grow up, you have teachers, and things are, you know, changed from those babyish thoughts that you had. Anyway, I chose a button for my mum and my dad and my brother. I thought just now I'd show you them because I came across them. So let me do my dad first. This was my dad. This is what I chose for my dad. And there's lots of reasons for that. You know, my dad, again, was quite shiny. He was like warm melted chocolate. He was always there for you. He was always just so, I don't know, such a lovely, lovely man. But boy, could he go off on tangents. Could he take you down this road or that road or that road? And you think, hang on a minute, what have I said yes to? And I'm sure my mum felt like that. So that was my dad, full of ideas, full of different plans. We always likened him to Toad of Toad Hall. You know, there he was. If he wasn't driving a horse and cart, he was driving a car, or he was doing this or he was doing that. And this was my mum. It's a knitted button. Well, knitted over the top. Rather a nice idea. But that was my mum. I mean, I don't think I ever saw my mum. The pictures I've got of her sitting on the beach, sitting on a boat, sitting here, sitting there, she's knitting. My mum never stopped knitting. And so that was the button that represented my mum. So the two of them, very different, but I think they look together. They go together nicely. And then this is my brother. I know. There we are. It's a little shank button. Can you see? And it's little bits of mother of pearl in, it's like wood. So it's rather beautiful, but it's very unusual. And that's how I felt having a brother 7 years younger than me, or 6.5, who wanted to be with me, wanted to do what I was doing, you know, all of that. I've read it in my story. So rather lovely. Well, a treasure, really. But those points could get on your nerves. That's the buttons I chose for my family. So, shall we go over and have the next part of my book read? Let's do that, and I'll catch up with you afterwards. We didn't watch much television. Perhaps Sunday night at the London Palladium and Dixon of Dock Green, or Z-Cars, but definitely the Forsyte Saga. I remember Mum looking forward to each episode and wondering what would happen. As I said, I remember where I was when President Kennedy was shot. I was at home. I came into the lounge and Mum and Dad were watching the news, and they were both shocked. I just didn't respond well to it at all, and I distinctly remember Dad telling me off. Children's hour was quite short, and I only remember Blue Peter. I just don't remember too much else. We did have a family drama on Sunday afternoons, which we all enjoyed together, but I can't really remember what they were either. I know when years ago it was, or years before I'm reading, it was Cabin in the Clearing. But I remember the music to that. I remember sitting on Dad's lap and watching it. But I just know there was this drama on a Sunday afternoon, but I don't remember what it was. I progressed from reading the children's newspaper, which was lovely. It was a beautiful, beautiful print, and it had all the important news in it. I then went on to get Bunty. Oh, I love Bunty. And then pop magazines. And then I started to enjoy really reading the books I wanted to enjoy. I wanted to read. Angel Pavement. I particularly remember Wilkie Collins, A Woman in White. I was just amazed that anybody could use words like that and make a story up. And I remember putting the book down and saying to Mum, wow. That was my first, real experience of, a good book. Angel Pavement as well. Thoroughly enjoyed it. J.B. Priestley. I didn't have many clothes apart from a pair of 3/4 plaid trousers and a skirt with 2 kick pleats in the front and back in a dog-tooth check, a silky blouse with ruffles down the front, and a pale blue, very fine corduroy shift dress. I would like any one of those items of clothing now, and I would wear it. Dad took me up to town, as we called London, to buy these, and I wore them in rotation. I love classical music, particularly piano music, Chopin. I just loved it. I just absolutely loved it. And I also love poetry. I enjoyed Shakespeare as well, and Anne took me to see a couple of performances. At home, Dad listened to Frank Sinatra, and I remember the radio being on quite a lot. We called it the wireless, though. Even in my diary of 1966, I said I listened to the wireless. My English literature teacher at school helped me enjoy the classics, drama and poetry, but particularly I enjoyed it because Dad used to read poems to me sitting in the garden on a Sunday morning. I definitely had a love of the arts, but of course I didn't realise this. I just thought everybody felt like I did. One weekend I went to Stratford-on-Avon to see A Midsummer's Night's Dream with the school. We looked over Anne Hathaway's cottage and all things relating to Shakespeare, and then went to see the play. I was enthralled, and my love of the theatre grew. The school put on the play, but I remember being very embarrassed when I was given the part of a fairy. I wanted one of the leading roles. Didn't they think I was good enough? How silly. I thought being a fairy was too young a part and felt self-conscious. Did a member of the Royal Shakespeare Company feel like this? I don't think so. Halfway through the production, I did swap roles with Wendy, and I played Flute, who, in a play within the play, if you see what I mean, is the character Thisbe. The line I remember is Lysander's, where he says, "Proceed, moon." I still say that to this day if I want someone to carry on speaking, and they look at me as if I'm nuts. Don't they realise I'm quoting Shakespeare? I also had a part as Lady Mary in the Admiral Crichton, which I enjoyed playing, definitely requiring the acting skills. In 1962, the film The Music Man was released, and Dad would sing all the songs interspersed with songs from Carousel and Oklahoma. But top of the list was Stop the World, I Want to Get Off with Anthony Newley. This LP would play on our record player most weekends. The songs were about Evie, and of course Dad always sang them to Mum. She'd chase him round the kitchen with a tea towel, pretending to scold him, but secretly loving it, of course. It was a very happy time. We also listened to Round the Horn, and Mum and Dad would laugh their heads off. I never understood the jokes, though, and grew up always hating people telling me jokes for fear that I wouldn't get them. Two of my favourite artists of the time were Peter Sellers and Tom Lehrer. The words to Lehrer's songs were bizarre. For example, I hold your hand in mine, dear. I press it to my lips. I take a healthy bite from your dainty fingertips. The night you died, I cut it off. I really don't know why. For every time I kiss it, I get blood stains on my tie. How bizarre is that? But there's something about it. Dad played them all the time. I learned the words off by heart just through listening to them playing. I can picture Mum cooking Sunday lunch and Dad having to mash and carve, which was always tricky after a pre-lunch drink. One year, Mum and Dad said we were going away with a family Dad worked with. They had 5 children and, as Mum says, were top drawer. I knew them quite well, as when I was younger, Dad had helped his friend David to build a swimming pool in the garden. They lived at Norwood, and the house and garden certainly were gorgeous. Honestly, absolutely gorgeous. I have photos of me playing there, and if we were not playing with water, we were playing the railway children. The part of the garden near the house was formal. Then down some steps to a part where the swimming pool was being built, and onto tennis courts and wild parts, certainly a place for imaginative adventures. I wonder if it's a housing estate today. Back to the holiday, and the surprise to me was that we were going to Saint-Gulf near Saint-Tropez in the south of France. Imagine, abroad. Well, I couldn't imagine it, as I didn't know anyone had been. Holidays in the 50s and 60s were taken at home. It wasn't until the late 60s that things started to change. David and Margaret often went and knew the ropes and invited Mum and Dad to go with them. The French Riviera in the summertime cannot be compared to Cornwall in September. I bought a pretty pink bikini edged with white broderie anglais, and we set off in our respective cars. I don't remember one thing of the journey, as Dad decided to drive down during the night, and I slept all the way. I do remember waking up, seeing sand, huge yachts, palm trees, and feeling heat that I'd never up until then experienced. We stayed in a large villa, and I slept on the ground floor. My bedroom opened straight onto the beach, which was private to the villa. Mum said they called me the mermaid, because every time they looked out of the window, I was sitting on a rock, surrounded by the clear Mediterranean Sea, brushing my hair. This was the first time I'd experienced hair of any length. I'd grown it into a long bob and was very proud of it, because my mum always kept it short. So yes, I was growing up and could decide how to have my hair. I think we went on a day trip somewhere, but other than that, my memories are of sunbathing and meeting up with the local boys. Jean-Hubert, Roland, Pierre, their names sounded so marvellous in the French accent. Roland gave me a red belt from his swimming trunks as a memento, and we arranged to write to each other. Somewhere in my distant memory, I can remember meeting him in London a few years later, but not being over enamoured. I thought the boy much cuter than the man. Sellers of the most divine nuts would walk along the beach, and we'd often buy small bags throughout the day. And of course, Ombre Solaire, my abiding memory, is the smell as I applied it to perfect my tan. The time rushed by so quickly, but the heat, sand, people, smells, and tastes stay with me. And so enters the phase of my life, which was definitely the boy stage. Normal, but wow, I kept up a pace. When I see what time I used to come home, I'm amazed. I remember thinking my mum and dad were restrictive, but that's just not so. I was very independent, going up to London to shop, using taxis, and generally when reading my diaries, I'm seeing a self-assured young lady one who looked after her money. If I caught a taxi from Southgate Station home, I'd be asked to be dropped at number 75. This was because the meter would stop at 2 shillings. Another 3 houses, and it clicked to 2 and 6. The driver used to look surprised as he drove off, and I, having asked for number 75, walked into 85. The button I chose with Sonia for Chris was a small, pointy, 6-sided blacky-brown one with white spots on. I thought it most unusual, and I wondered why this represented Chris. It was very beautiful in its way, but at the same time, with the white point protruding, it seemed irritating somehow. Chris was only 7 at this time, and so I couldn't really share anything with him. He was too young. I would have liked to. He irritated me in the sense that any 7-year-old boy would, charging around, wanting to come with me wherever I went, and not giving me much peace. At the same time, I appreciated having him around. Dad was busy working at building up his business, and Mum helped him with the wages. School leaving age was 15 then, although most people stayed on to take their exams. I couldn't wait though. The thought of leaving school in 7 months was very appealing. After all, I was 15 in the August of the year 1964, which is the first diary I have. Yes, so the next part's entitled My Diary Years. Well, let's see what that holds. I don't know till I read it again, so I'll see you next time and read a bit more. Here's the belt I was talking about, of Roland. I mean, fancy saving that. That was from his swimming trunks. I mean, he gave it to me as a memento, you know. And I've got his letters too, but I found that in the hamper. I don't know. It just sums it up, doesn't it? It sums up a French holiday, which was out of the blue and something I'd never experienced and wasn't going to experience, quite frankly, for many a year after that. Because after that, we were back to Cornwall, and then Pete's mum and dad moved down to Devon, and so our holidays consisted of visiting them when we were married and not going abroad for quite some years. But there's my memory of that south of France, sitting on a rock, combing my hair. And after all, at that age, it's just about me. So thanks very much for joining me this week. I hope it's conjured up some memories for you that, again, you can identify with me and say, oh, yes, I remember that, and I felt just like that, or I didn't feel like that at all because my life was so different. I just love hearing from you. And I have one darling viewer, and she says, I've written a book, but then I delete it, and I just send you a couple of sentences. Don't delete. You know, it all squashes up. It just says read more. So it all squashes up, and I just love to read it. So whatever you want to write, please do. Right, I'm shutting up. So if we turn right, we go there and back, along the sea into town. And if we turn left, we go round the block, still down to the sea, but through the farm. And that's what we've done this week. It's been very dry. Sometimes it can get muddy around there, but it's been very dry, even though some days have been quite chilly and quite windy, but still nice and bright. So I'll see you next time. And what? Thanks for joining me. Take care.